So, welcome back on my channel Lightwave Guru. Jordan, I have seen your comments on Discord about Octane and lighting and so. And I hope I can now explain it a little bit. It's tricky, and the simple reason is that light in combination with the pest tracing kernel in Octane need the understanding or the understandness or whatever it is in English, the right words of you. You have to understand that more than one parameter play a role, that you can influence your light and you know if you influence it, what to do. Yeah. So for example, you have your typical interior scene and you see in the middle my Sauron 3000 machine, and you see on that area here much light sources. Yeah, and that light sources is built with that infill method, or let us call it spectral rendering. That link I sent you for infill.com, they show the difference between the black body method and the emission texture method I show here in some seconds. But first, you see you have here in that scene massive light sources, many light sources, but in the middle the board is much too dark. And the simple reason is, you see it here, that the GI clamp is on 1. Yeah, the parameter is 1. And GI clamp 1 means that the light comes straight linear out of that texture emission map or whatever it is, that light source. It can also be an Octane light. And then it bounces this times before it stops. Totally linear. So the photon comes out, pick in here, go out, you know that, it's simple physics. And GI clamping means no more as that you can steer with that in what way the light would be in the scene implemented. For example, let us now take a GI clamp from 100, okay? Then you would see that the light now would be much more diffuse come out of all that light sources. Let us do it. Yeah, so he begin now new to render, and you see directly that now the bot it becomes much more light, and the whole scene would be you see much more as before. And the simple reason is that now that lights and now the sample rate to play a role from the textures here will be give in the scene. So let us click one from them. I click there here, yeah, that yellow one, and now we let us take a look in that node, in that node setup. When you see now that this method here, that everybody must know if you work with Octane and LightWave, this is a spectral rendering method. So I use not a black body node for that, I use the Octane texture emission. And for the distribution in the input is the Octane Gaussian spectrum, and with that you can steer the wavelength and width and so. Yeah. So, and you have that efficiency parameter. If I drop the efficiency parameter out, you see now only the Octane Gaussian spectrum texture will define the color of the light he comes out. That's the first thing. Yeah, see it here. Now is it only yellow? There's no texture. And if I change here the wavelength, for example, then I can change the color. Yeah. So now, for example, is it blue? So, and why is the reason that now enough light come in the scene, and that you find in the black body node and also in the Octane texture emission node, and that's here that sampling rate. And the sampling rate for my light source here is now 20,000 samples. And that means that enough light comes out, enough rays comes out of that, that texture emission node, and can flood the scene with photons, let us call it so, with light rays. And that's the thing. If I change it now to 1, that's the default parameter here. This is 1. You see, the scene would much darker, and it need a while to understand it, but if every from your light sources have only that sample rate 1, you build hot pixels en masse. And the thing is that the renderer have not enough information to render it correct. Yeah, and the reason is that the sampling rate for the lights is too low. So if you have problems in that direction, then make the sampling rate higher. That means also that if you put more a higher sampling rate in the scene for light source, that then you have to play a little bit with the power. And the thing is, if you have more light rays in the scene, then yeah, it would be it gives you more light, you know, and that's a little bit the trick. So you can then go down with the power if you want. Yeah. And that's the thing. If you use the path tracing kernel, 3 parameters or 4 parameters play a role. Yeah. So the sampling rate from your texture or black body emission, with how much samples the kernel have to calculate that. The second thing is that the kernel himself here have a GI clamping that he can put and gives the scene in the light in the scene. Yeah. Best way to test it, you can do it with irradiance mode. Then you see only the light sources. Yeah, all other things are white, and then you can build your light sources. And yeah, and the thing is to find out the right GI clamping for the look you want. Yeah. So for example, if I go now back to 1, then you see that it's go much darker. Yeah, as if the clamping is higher. Yeah, and I know that's not trivial. It's not simple. It's also a little bit a question of what look you want and what kind of light sources you use. But in the end, if you understand that it's the same with Z parameters. If you go now down with a glossy depth here to 8 or so, yeah, then also the renderer will, for all glossy textures, only bounce 8 times the light rays, and for all diffuse only 8 times. Yeah, if I make it to 3, for example, if I go more down and down and down, yeah, you will see that in some cases the render would broken and nothing is happen more. So it's a combination. What I would say is it's every time a combination of your diffuse. Yeah. So it makes sense that it is per default for the path tracing kernel 8 and 24. Yeah. And also a little bit the caustic blurs play a role. In my case, is it every time 3% and not 1? Default is 1. Here is it 3. And yeah. And in the end, also your node for your spectral rendering play a role, that sampling rate here. Yeah, and you have understand that, then you understand in what way you can build a nice light setup so that it works perfect in Octane and you have a stable render. So that means also if you bounce in the scene so much light samples as I show it here and do that, you can go down with your M sample rate for the final rendering. Yeah. So the moment for that scene is the final M samples for that picture is 2000. Then he stopped the rendering. Yeah. 2000 M samples, it's enough. And then you have a stable rendering, and then you can use the artificial intelligence denoiser if you want, and put it on that scene. Yeah, so that the little noise you see here on the diffuse part of the textures would be clear up a little bit. Yeah. So if you want, you can also denoise in other programs and can also render it out without the denoiser and use another denoiser from, I don't know. So there are so many denoisers out there. Yeah. So, but you can do it. Yeah. Then you denoise it and then you can say, okay, that's the light I want. Or that's a light I hate. I have no idea give me another light. Yeah, so that's a little bit the thing, and the best way is to test it. Build a simple box, put a camera in there and one light source, and then play with the sampling rate, with the light sampling rate, and with the GI clamping, yeah, and with your amp samples, and then you would understand what's happened. Last tip I wrote you that is also that in that case here, you have here efficiency parameter, and why it means maximum range, yeah. So then the light would be in the best way put in the scene. Efficiency means how long can a light influence the object, yeah. So if I make it here black, for example, then it sends not out light anymore. You see it? So now it would be darker and it have no more the chance to give light in the scene, but you can see it as light source. Okay, so it's also a little bit a trick if you need to see on some place a light source, but you would that it not influence the scene. Yeah, in that case, do it to black. Yeah, so if you would that it full influence the scene, make it to white. If you would that it a little bit influence the scene, make it to gray. Yeah, so that's a little bit the thing. And if you know that all, then you have much fun with Octane. Yeah, so if you are new in Octane, yeah, and you know all that not, then it looks like, oh shit, what's happened here, in what way I can create that render I see every day in the Octane channel, or also in the LightWave channel, if the user work with LightWave and Octane as plugin. But you see on all the extreme good renderings out there, they are produced with Octane, that it's possible to do that. So it's only a thing of knowledge, you know. So, and that knowledge you can build, yeah, build a simple scene with a box. I tell you it one more time. Make a light source in there and study what's happened if you change the parameter for efficiency, for light sampling rate, for GI clamping, and then you understand quickly what's happened there. Yeah. And another thing is that the glossy and the diffuse textures react in a different way. Yeah, and the simple thing is a glossy texture or reflection texture bounce the light in another way as a diffuse, yeah, texture. But that's clear. It's everybody knows it. Yeah. So Jordan, I hope that video helped you a little bit. Yeah. More I cannot say. If you have any questions, if I have an answer, I give you an answer. Yeah. So if you understand that parameters, then you begin and you know that all. Then you begin to play with that, intuitive, yeah, and build your light scenes, and then you become good lighting, yeah, a good lighting. That's not the thing. It's only the first time if you not know that all a little bit. So what I have to do, and so yeah. But if you understand it, then it is so. Then it brings you much fun, yeah, and good renderings, yeah. So Jordan, later, have fun, yeah. Bye.